NostaBeauty is rewinding the clock to an era of bold colors and fearless fashion with their nostalgic inspired makeup line. It's more than just beauty, it's a nostalgic escape to the vibrant 80s, 90s, and Y2K. Join us as we explore the story behind the retro chic brand with its co founder, Tiffany Tarazi.
This week on the No More Late Fees podcast, Danielle and I are joined by makeup artist and co-founder of NostaBeauty, Tiffany Tarazi.
Welcome, Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I am constantly perusing the internet for just things that fall in our category. Because as you know, we are a podcast that talk about 90s and 2000s movies. And somehow I stumbled upon finding your brand. And I was like, oh my God, Jackie, I love this.
Oh, thank you.
Especially because of like your palettes, they're beautiful colors, obviously, but like the creativity behind it, making them a VHS, that is what really like grabbed my attention because we're blockbuster girlies around here. So we're like, oh, that's so cool. And everything that I see, every product I see, I'm like, that is so fun. I love it. So tell us what started your love for makeup first, before even getting to the company.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm a second generation makeup artist. So my mom has been a makeup artist ever since I've been alive, really. And so I always went on set with her. I assisted her. It's just been, it's in my DNA at this point. And so that really fueled my love for makeup really, really early on. There's pictures of me in the 90s wearing lipstick. I would always steal her makeup. She's not too happy about that, but I think she understands now. And so I've just always been fascinated by makeup. I always saw my mom with a full face of makeup, with a red lipstick. Yeah, so that's really where it all started.
That's awesome. I love the generations of makeup lovers.
Yeah, no. So I was assisting her a lot. She would always bring me on to help her and just see what it's like to actually be a working makeup artist. And I did that for so many years. And I just kind of wanted to do my own thing a little bit. I didn't want to just follow in her footsteps. So I actually went to culinary school because I was like, I love being creative. So let me find another outlet because I also love to cook. So I did that. I graduated. I was apprenticing at a restaurant in New York City and quickly realized that it was not for me because I had to wear a hairnet. I couldn't get my nails done. It was all sweaty. I was like, no thanks. So I went back to the makeup part. And so then I started freelancing and becoming my own makeup artist. And yeah, the rest is kind of history.
That's awesome.
Never looked back.
So what drew you to the 80s, 90s, Y2K eras as inspiration for your makeup line?
Yeah, so we first started with the 80s. I was born in 89. So I'm technically a 90s baby, but not quite. So I wanted to start there because growing up, I was always dancing to Madonna, Whitney Houston, Sade. Those were like my core icons that I really, really looked up to. They were so beautiful. Their music was amazing. My mom was heavy on, just playing their songs on repeat, having MTV on at all times. And there's actually VHS tapes of me dancing to these songs. So that's like my core memory and what I wanted to kind of like create in a palette. And so I actually have it here, but this is our VHS tape. It's called Swatch. It's called Swatch Me, and the S is kind of fading. So it's like watch, swatch, and we just wanted to really make, when you first see our palette, to just really take you back to that time of like home videos, just the core memories that everyone has, you know, everyone has those VHS tapes with their home videos on them, and also like Blockbuster. I mean, it's just that whole vibe I wanted to put in a makeup palette. And so the shades are also inspired by the icons that I just mentioned. As Whitney Houston, she was always rocking like a purple lip. Sade had this iconic like terracotta shade. Madonna was always known for her 90s and 80s like really bold red lips. So that's kind of like what I wanted to bring forward in this palette. So I definitely wanted to start with the 80s because that's kind of like where it all started with me.
I love that. Well, we're 80s babies. We're a little bit older, but but love that. You should definitely make like a commercial or something or ad using your home videos, because that is so adorable that you were
Yeah,
dancing.
I really should. It's actually pretty funny, but it's great. It's great.
Well, I was going to ask you who your makeup icons were from these eras, but you kind of, dived in. Were there any other ones that really inspired you, especially when making your makeup line?
Yeah, so my Madonna was definitely number one because she just always kind of like was a little bit edgier with her makeup, and I really loved that about her, but also sticking to like something classic, a red lip. But jumping forward, I always loved, you know, Britney Spears. She always had like that glowy, youthful type of makeup look. Jessica Simpson, J Lo. Like there's just so many that have inspired me throughout the years. And now that I have this makeup brand, I'm really realizing what each person kind of inspired me by. So like Jessica Simpson always had like this really kind of peachy pink glossy lip, and I always find myself now looking back and I'm like, oh wow, so that like really inspired some of the shades that we have going on here. So and even future products, so they definitely played a huge role in my inspo for all of this.
I love that, especially Britney Spears, because when you look back at some of the 90s makeup, you're like, what was happening?
Yeah,
Not everyone was able to pull it off, but somehow, whoever was doing Britney's makeup was just like top tier. She always looked dewy and fresh
yeah,
and gorgeous.
yeah.
And oh, like none of the other girls were doing it like Britney. I don't know who was doing her makeup,
And she
but
wasn't
Yeah,
overly made up because she was still
yeah,
very
exactly.
young. So they like
Exactly.
towed that line perfectly.
Yeah, totally. They definitely did just enough.
Yes.
yeah.
Were there any specific movies or characters that influenced the aesthetics of Nosta Beauty?
Oh my gosh, 16 candles. Like there I could literally sit here for an hour and just like name all of the movies. Oh my gosh, there's just so many. And they're from different eras too. So it's just a whole bunch. I mean, from like the cartoony ones as like a Little Mermaid, or like, you
Yeah.
know, just there's just so many good ones. Wow. Yeah, there's too many to name.
I know.
There's
I
just
would
too many.
it's hard. It's hard to like figure out which ones to tap into. I always go to Clueless because I feel like that movie just totally changed my brain chemistry. It's like it's almost
Yeah.
like after Christ, before Christ. It's before Clueless, after
Yes.
Clueless for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So obviously you are a makeup artist. Now you obviously you come up with an idea to transition to not just being an artist, but creating your own line. How did that begin? And what were some of the challenges that you faced when you were creating the company with your husband, right? Because he's your
Yes.
co-founder.
Yes. So back in 2019, 2018, I was a product developer for another brand, and it was another small indie brand. And that's where I learned a lot. And I thought I was going to stay there for a really long time because I just love the position so much. So this
Mm.
was kind of me transitioning in from a makeup artist to actually a corporate girly, being a product developer and really getting the behind the scenes of what it takes to run a business, make products, curate colors together, really kind of like the nitty-gritty. And I wore so many hats during that position. I was doing the marketing, I was doing the tutorials, I was curating makeup and speaking to manufacturers. And that's really where I got most of my experience from and my knowledge. But I outgrew the position and I quit without a plan B, which was very scary.
Yeah.
This was back in 2019. And I was really, really depressed during that time. I was trying to find something else. It just wasn't in the cards for me at the time. And this was like 5 months into job searching. And Steve was like, look, you have this experience. You're a makeup artist. Let's do something together. You know, I'm a little business savvy. Like, I'll help you out. Let's do something. I really believe in you. And if it wasn't for him saying those things and really believing in me, Nosta wouldn't be here. Like, it just wouldn't. And he really helped me with it a lot. So, you know, I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, yeah, okay, you know, like how you just have like a casual conversation, like,
Right.
yeah, you know, like let's do something. Yeah, yeah, sure, whatever. To us sitting one weekend and kind of like brainstorming, because being in both sides of the spectrum with the beauty industry, I really didn't want to come into the industry with something that's been done before,
Right.
something that won't make us stand out, and something that just doesn't excite us. And so we thought really long about what hasn't been done, because at this point, everything has been done.
Right.
And so we came up with nostalgia, cut the name in half, and landed on Nosta. It was actually going to be Algia. I was talking to him and I was like, wait, maybe Algia sounds really good. And he's like, no, that sounds like algae. What are you doing? Let's call it Nosta. I was like, okay, Nosta, fine. And then a few weeks go by and he's like, all right, well, I filed for the trademark, so let's do this. And I was like, what? I guess this is really happening now. It's
Yeah.
not just like, you know, talking about it. So we filed and we got to work. We found our manufacturer. They actually really believed in what we wanted to bring forward into the industry. And the rest is kind of history. We launched our VHS palette on our 5-year wedding anniversary, too. So
Aw.
there's a lot of meaning behind Nosta. You know, it really, really means a lot to us. We put our entire wedding money into it. Like we really, if we were, so we always knew if we were going to do something, we were going to do it like all out. Like we were going to just pour our love and our passion into something. And so we really just like went all out for this. And there were a lot of hurdles. You know, it's one thing being a makeup artist and kind of working for another company doing product dev and like not really getting into like the numbers and all that stuff. But it's another thing where you're kind of learning kind of all over again, because I was never a founder, you know, I was never an entrepreneur.
Right.
So it was definitely a lot of learning. It still is, you know, I'm no pro. I'm still learning every product we put out. New problems arise. And with our VHS palette, we actually had, I want to say maybe 50 to 100 pieces flown in from the manufacturer, and they all came melted. And that was
Oh.
meant for PR. Yeah. So
That's so
it
horrible.
was bad. It was really bad. So I know it looks all glitzy and glam online, but if you only knew, if you only knew, like 3 months into launch, I got pregnant.
Aw.
So that was like a new, you know, it was just like throwing me into like being a new founder and then like a mom, you know, like
Yep.
motherhood. So it was just a lot. Like our first year definitely took a hit because of all of the different moving things, and it was a lot. But finally, you know, we're up to I think our fourth product that we launched, and each product takes so long to launch because we really put a lot of thought and detail into everything that we do. You know, our products really stand out because of the packaging, but what's in the product is what's going to like keep you as a customer, I believe, because the packaging is so cool and different where it grabs somebody's attention. But once you actually use the products, you're like, oh my God, so this isn't a gimmick after all, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's what we always get. It's like, you probably spent so much time on the packaging, the formulas must not be, you know, that great. But I think as people are learning that this is a makeup artist founded brand, you know, it's not just, you know, just somebody that decided to make products one day and just put crap in them.
Yeah.
No, so like we put a lot of hard work into everything that we do. And I think it's starting to show,
Yeah.
you know? So it's definitely been hard getting the word out because it's just Steve and our hands are very full because of the baby and just like so many things that it's been hard to get the word out. But yeah, we've been trying. It's just us two.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the great thing is like you've definitely been leveraging social, and we've seen, different influencers try the products and talk about the products. I think we might have found it from one of our mutuals actually. So, yeah. It's
love to hear
definitely
that.
what was like the moment now that you've had influencers and everybody trying your stuff, that what was a moment or something that happened that you were like, "Oh my God, this is real. This is happening. This is
Oh my gosh.
we're building something."
So when oh my gosh, there's just been so many throughout the years, but I want to say when Rose and Ben, I don't know if you know her, but she's a really big makeup influencer.
Mm.
When she promoted our CD palette, I was like, holy crap. Like, because this is from like one big, like it's always the big ones, but it's always like those are like the wows.
Right.
But when the customers, like our actual customers, write to us and then they DM us, that's kind of like a even bigger wow because
Yeah.
they're actually they purchased from us, you know, they're supporting us and they're actually enjoying the products. That means like it's still a pinch me moment till this
Yeah.
day. Like that's just like unreal. Somebody spent their hard-earned money with us when they could have spent it with a trillion different other brands. That's just crazy to me. Crazy.
And how do you see Nosta Beauty evolving in the future?
So I have some things in the works, but I think we're going to maybe bring back some products that have been discontinued and
Mm.
reviving them and giving them a little bit of a twist. So I can't
Nice.
say much about that, but I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, I think that's amazing. I'm very excited for that. I know a lot of our listeners not only listen because of the nostalgia and the movies, but we've been lucky enough to have some really great entrepreneurs, people who have self-started, and our listeners love finding the inspiration behind the brands and projects and creativity. So what advice would you have for aspiring beauty entrepreneurs?
Definitely always remember the why you're going into this, why you're starting this, what is your passion, because that's every interview, every meeting that we have, every interaction we have, especially with Steve. If Steve was here, you would really feel the passion like jump through the screen. But if you don't have passion, this is not going to be for you. And
Yeah.
that's with any business. If you're not passionate about what you're doing and you're just in it for the money, the business is not going to come to you. So I definitely think find something that really drives that passion and stick with it.
Love it.
Because we were going to quit so many times, you
Yeah.
know, and if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So definitely always remember why you're starting and what is about it that's so passionate to you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media so they can follow along, find products, check out all the I just think it's so cool how you guys have packaged everything. It isn't I know the products are quality, but just that is just so cool. It's very fun. It brings you back to another time.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that's music to my ears. You you could find us at NostaBeauty on Instagram, on TikTok, and our website.
Yes, definitely head to nostabeauty.com. And if you use the code NMLF, you will get 20% off with our discount code.
Woohoo!
And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Threads at No More Late Fees. Also, if you can't get enough of all this nostalgia, make sure to check out our earlier episode of Freeway with Reese Witherspoon and our upcoming episode of Napoleon Dynamite. Gosh, that's going to be a fun one. I'm very excited.
That sounds very fun.
And as always, be kind and rewind.
Oh, yeah.